This video will discuss chapter 7.8, circle graph. So, as we talk about circle graphs, I want to warn you in advance that this video may be slightly dizzying as I'm going to use a lot of images from the book, so I apologize. Don't be afraid to hit pause if you feel like you need to. I want to start with how we are going to create a circle graph. So I'm going to use this example that is on the drum. I'm going to move you close to it so you can see. So the question is, what part would you like to be in a band? And then they give you these different options. And they basically polled some people and they asked them to select one, and you can see the percentages of what people chose. So the question is, how do you then create a circle graph from that? And so, I'm going to bring you down for a second. You'll see that what they did was they took the percentage, multiplied that percentage times 360, because that's the number of degrees in a circle. And you can see they found the approximate number of degrees each part should play. So for example, the guitar, they changed 19% to 0.19 multiplied by 360 and got approximately 68, right? 17% wanted the drums, so you change that to 0.17, multiply times 360, you get to approximately 61%. And then you can see down here on the bottom that they obviously have a little bit more precise. We're not going to be quite as precise as this in class, because obviously you can use a computer program to do something like this, but they then created this circle graph to show what part somebody would want to be in a band. So what I want you to realize is that circle graph that I'm showing you now, I'm going to take you back up to the top of the page, and this data chart, or I guess percentage chart, tell you the same story. The difference is that most people would struggle to realize the difference, or I guess how great of a difference the vocals are to some of the others when they look at that, as opposed to when they look at something like here. And down here, when you're looking at the circle graph, you can see it's a much larger part of the circle, making it a much more popular part to play in the band. Okay, so one way is when you're given percentages, how you create the circle chart. Now, let's take a look at another example, and that would be how to construct the circle chart from data. So instead of given a percentage, I'm going to take you back up here again, and this is talking about ways that, or type of fuel people use to heat their home. You can see that it gives you the type of fuel and the number of homes that use that type of fuel. This is not a percentage, this is actually raw data. So what you need to do is figure out how to make it into a percentage. And I'll take you over to this part of the page, which will now show you what they did was first they added up all those numbers. Try to get you both the chart and the numbers. You add up all those numbers, and you can see that it equals 200. And then from there, they did the same thing. You take the number of people who wanted bottled gas, or who used bottled gas, which was 12. You divide 12 into 20, you get 0.06. That tells you the percentage of people who are using bottled gas. You do the same thing with electricity, fuel gas. Obviously, you can see the piped gas was 100, so 100 divided by 200 is 0.5. Okay, you then are going to change those into percents. So now you take the 0.06, times 360. You can kind of figure out about how many degrees are going to be each part of the circle. And then from there, you're going to actually end up creating that circle graph. Right? So you can see that the piped gas should be exactly half of the circle, since if you come back up here, 100 out of 200 people said it. We figured out that was 50%, and then we created this chart. All right, so one last example I want to show you. Then I got some work I'm going to do with you on a slide, and that's this. So this is talking about the U.S. budget. And so if you look, we're talking about where does the U.S. government spend money? And you can see the different percentages that they use. So now, instead of, so basically now they've given us the pie chart, or I guess the circle graph. They've given us the percentages. So now we're going to answer some questions related to that chart. So keeping that chart in mind, suppose for a moment that the U.S. government budget was $10 billion. How much money are they spending on defense. And so if you remember from the chart, defense was at 20%. So I need to find out what is 20% of 10 billion. Right? And 20% of 10 billion, I take 0.2 times 10 billion would be one way to type into the calculator. Another way would be to think of it as times 10, right? 0.2 times 10 is going to give me 2. So this is going to be 2 billion. Right? And you can write. Okay, and so they're planning to spend $2 billion on defense. Or that's what's in the budget. The health budget took up 22%, if you remember the circle graph. And so I need to find out what is 22% of 10 billion, because remember we've been told that the budget is 10 billion, and so 22% of 10 billion would be, right, multiplying 0.22 times 10, or 0.22 times 10 billion, and this is going to give me 2.2 billion. Okay, so now remember, I'm getting these numbers. I'm going to pull up the circle graph again. I'm getting these numbers from the circle graph. So health you'll see is 22, defense you'll see is 20, and then I'm using this number, which they gave me was 10 billion, and the percentage I got from the circle graph to figure out how much money they actually are budgeting for defense and how much they're budgeting for health. I want to take one last look again at that circle graph so that you know that that's where I'm getting those numbers. Right? So I'm getting the number basically, if you take a look, that you can see health is the purple and defense is the blue. Health is 22%, defense is 20%. All right, sorry for the dizzying video. Thank you for watching the video. Don't forget to do the problems at the bottom of the page. I'll see you in class.